Welcome back to Recovery Journey. I'm Rico and I'm glad you're here with us today. Now, if you're in recovery, whether it's been one day or one decade, you've probably heard the word triggers. But what are they really? Are they just little annoyances? Or are they serious landmines that can blow your progress sky high? And more importantly, which ones should you stay far away from to avoid relapse? Today, we're not just going to skim the surface. We're diving deep, getting real about the common triggers that can pull you back into old patterns. Think of this as your field guide to navigating the tricky terrain of sobriety. We're going to talk about the people, the places, the feelings, and even the sneaky thoughts that can act like a siren's call, luring you back to a life you don't want and don't deserve anymore. Knowledge is power, folks, and understanding these triggers is your first line of defense. And it's not just about knowing what they are. It's about knowing what to about them. How do you protect your recovery when these triggers pop up? Sometimes when you least expect them. So we're going to equip you with some real practical strategies. Some common sense approaches to safeguard the incredible progress you've made. You've worked too hard to let a predictable, avoidable trigger derail your journey. So lean in, get comfortable, and let's get to work on fortifying your sobriety. Let's dive in. All right, let's get straight to it. The first, and often the toughest, trigger we gotta talk about is people. Specifically, people from your using days. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Rico, these are my friends, my family. I can't just cut them out. Well, let me ask you this. Are they your friends if their presence, their lifestyle, their choices actively undermine your sobriety? We're talking about old buddies you used with, dealers who profited from your pain, or even family members who are still caught up in active addiction. These relationships, as comfortable or familiar as they might feel, can be pure poison to your recovery. They can drag you back into that darkness faster than you can say relapse. It might feel harsh, I get that. But let me tell you something straight. Protecting your sobriety, your new life, that has to be your number one priority. If someone's presence consistently makes you crave, makes you feel weak, or tempts you to go back to your old ways, then you've got a serious problem on your hands. You wouldn't keep a rattlesnake in your living room just because you've known it for a long time, would you? Of course not. So why would you keep people in your life who pose a similar threat to your well-being? It's time to get real about who truly supports your healing and who's just an anchor trying to pull you back under. So what's the solution here? It's not always easy, but it's necessary. You gotta set some serious boundaries. Choose people who are assets to your sobriety, not liabilities. Now let's talk about another big one, high-risk places. You know what I'm talking about. Those environments that are so deeply intertwined with your past addiction that just being near them can send your cravings into overdrive. We're talking bars, clubs, the specific street corners where you used to score, maybe even a particular park bench, or, for some of you, the very room in your house where your addiction took hold. These places aren't just bricks and mortar. They're loaded with memories, with associations, with emotional landmines just waiting for you to step on them. Think of them as invisible tripwires for your sobriety. Your brain is a powerful thing, and it forms strong connections between environments and experiences. When you repeatedly use substances in a certain place, your brain learned to associate that location with the feelings, the temporary relief, the escape, whatever it was you were chasing. So, when you re-enter that environment, even if you have no intention of using, your brain can light up like a Christmas tree, triggering those old neural pathways and unleashing a flood of cravings. It's not a matter of willpower, it's a matter of brain chemistry and learned responses. Ignoring this is like playing Russian roulette with your recovery. Why put yourself in that kind of jeopardy? It's easy to think, oh, I'm stronger now. But is it really worth the risk? Is that one drink with old work buddies at the same old bar, or that quick drive through the old neighborhood, worth potentially unraveling all the hard work you've put in? I'd argue, and I think you know deep down, that it's not. You're trying to build a new life, a sober life, and that often means you can't keep frequenting the same playgrounds where your addiction thrived. So, what's the game plan here? It's pretty straightforward, actually. Make new memories in new places. Actively seek out and create safe environments where you're not constantly looking over your shoulder or battling a barrage of reminders from your past. Your peace of mind is worth finding a new favorite spot. Alright, let's be real, folks. Life doesn't just magically become a walk in the park the moment you decide to get sober. If anything, sometimes it feels like the volume gets turned up on all the regular life stressors, doesn't it? You've got work pressure, family issues, financial worries, health concerns, the whole shebang. And stress, my friends, is one of the biggest, sneakiest internal triggers for relapse. It's not something outside of you, like a person or a place. It's brewing right there inside. And if you don't have a healthy way to deal with it, you might find yourself reaching for those old, destructive coping mechanisms. For many people, substances were their go-to solution for stress. Feeling overwhelmed? Have a drink. Anxious about a deadline? Get high. It became a deeply ingrained pattern, a quick fix, albeit a temporary and damaging one, to numb out or escape uncomfortable feelings. So when you're sober and that intense stress hits, your brain can automatically revert to its old programming, screaming, "Hey, remember what used to make this feel better, even for a little while?" That's a dangerous moment, a critical choice point where your recovery can hang in the balance. Ignoring stress or pretending it doesn't affect you is a recipe for disaster. You might think, "I'm tough, I can handle it." And you've proven that by embarking on this recovery journey. But toughness isn't about white-knuckling your way through overwhelming stress until you break. True strength in recovery is about recognizing when you're under pressure and having healthy, constructive tools to manage it. It's about being proactive, not reactive. The key is to have a toolbox of healthy coping strategies ready the stress tsunami hits. Let's talk about something that can creep up on you. Something that addiction absolutely loves: isolation. When you're in active addiction, secrecy often becomes your closest companion. You hide your use, you withdraw from loved ones, you create this little bubble where the addiction can thrive, unchallenged and unseen. And even in recovery, that tendency to isolate, or the circumstances that lead to it, can be a powerful trigger. When you're alone too much, with too much time on your hands and too few positive interactions, those old thoughts, those negative self-talk patterns, those sneaky little cravings can start creeping back in, louder and more insistent than ever. Think about it. When you're isolated, who's there to challenge your distorted thinking? Who's there to offer a different perspective when your mind starts playing tricks on you, telling you that just one won't hurt, or that nobody understands, or that you're a failure? Addiction whispers its lies most effectively in the echo chamber of solitude. It's in those quiet, lonely moments that the resolve can weaken, and the temptation to slip back into the familiar numbness of substance use can feel overwhelming. Humans are wired for connection. We need that interaction, that support, that sense of belonging, especially when we're navigating the challenging path of recovery. It's not just about feeling lonely, though that's a big part of it. Isolation can also lead to boredom, and boredom can be a surprisingly dangerous trigger for people in recovery. When you're bored, your mind starts to wander, and if you're not careful, it can wander right back to thoughts of using, just to feel something, anything, to break the monotony. Furthermore, when you're disconnected from your support systems, you're less likely to reach out when you're struggling. You might feel ashamed or like you don't want to bother anyone, and so you suffer in silence, making yourself even more vulnerable to relapse. So what's the antidote to this dangerous state of isolation? It's simple, but it requires consistent effort. Stay connected. Make it a non-negotiable part of your recovery plan. Connection is your lifeline. Grab onto it and hold tight. Now this next trigger is a real sneaky one. It often comes disguised as a good thing, as progress, as success. I'm talking about complacency. You've been sober for a while, things are going well, you're feeling good, maybe even great. Your life is back on track, you're hitting your goals, and you start to think, you know what? I've got this. I've finally beaten it. I don't need all those meetings anymore. I don't need to call my sponsor as much. I'm cured. Whoa there, partner. That right there is some dangerous thinking, and it's a slippery slope that has led many well-meaning folks right back to square one. The moment you start believing you're cured, or that you no longer need to actively work your recovery program, is the moment you become most vulnerable. Addiction is a cunning, baffling, and powerful disease, as they say, and it's patient. It can lie dormant, waiting for you to let your guard down. Complacency is like opening the door and inviting it right back in. You start to skip the things that got you sober and kept you sober. The meetings, the self-reflection, the connection with other recovering people, the spiritual practice, whatever your pillars of recovery are. You start to believe you're different, that you're the exception to the rule. Stay grounded, stay grateful, and stay vigilant. Staying sober isn't about being perfect. Nobody is, and expecting perfection is just setting yourself up for a fall. It's about being aware. It's about being honest with yourself. The more you know your triggers, the specific people, places, feelings, and even those complacent thoughts we talked about, the better you can prepare to either avoid them or deal with them in healthy, constructive ways when they inevitably pop up. This journey is about progress, not perfection, and every day you stay sober, every trigger you successfully navigate is a victory, a huge victory. Remember, you've come an incredible way. Think about where you were and where you are now. That strength, that resilience, that's all you. And you don't have to do it alone. In fact, trying to go it alone is one of the surest ways to stumble. Lean on your support systems, use the tools you're learning, and keep putting one foot in front of the other. There will be tough days, no doubt about it, but those days don't have to define your future. Your recovery is a testament to your courage, and it's worth protecting with everything you've got. So, if this video resonated with you, if it gave you something to think about or a new strategy to try, please subscribe to Recovery Journey, like this video, and share it with someone else who might be walking this path. You never know who you might help with a simple share. You've come too far to turn back now. Let's keep walking this journey together, supporting each other every step of the way. Follow us on TikTok at Recovery Journey 33, Instagram at Recovery Journey 33, and Recovery Journey on Rumble. Take care, and I'll see you next time.